Welcome to the second edition of the Rundown. I am ALTInsider here with my co-host Cheese. How you feeling, Cheese?
I'm great. Ready to get this started.
Let's start with our first news topic, which is something that just happened not too long ago, and this was Twitch rivals in the house. This time with Resident Evil 2. Cheese, what did you think?
I mean, beautiful game. First of all, Resident Evil is one of my favorite games. Probably my favorite horror game series franchise. And it was a beautiful game to watch. And again, the layouts were beautiful. The format was great. You know, they had all these extra things you could do on the stream to make it more interactive, and it was a great viewing experience. Now going into the speedrunning aspect, a few ups and downs maybe. I think we could agree on that. There were a little bit of concerns, but yeah, what do you think?
I think you're being too kind with the. There was a lot of other stuff. No, the viewership, how it looked was beautiful, right? It's layouts,
Right.
the stage. That thing is beautiful. I mean, that's like a dream. I wish we could do our show from that studio. But
Production.
yeah. But the extra challenges, what are they called? Achievements. That was not explained until 40 minutes into the Twitch rivals. That is unacceptable. And the chat was going off too, saying, "What are they doing? What's this achievement? Here's the no blood achievement or something." And everyone's like, "What is it?" Carcinogen was the commentator. Awesome job explaining what's going on as he does. He's a long time speedrunning person, speedrunning community, hell of a long time. But we didn't know what he was talking about when they were saying like he's just going for this achievement. What is that? You right?
Right. So there was that. At least, yeah, like you said, when I was in the stream, it took me 15-20 minutes to finally get some sort of explanation of what was going on, because I had no clue. I saw timers going, but they just kept talking about challenges and achievements. I was like, wait, are they doing any percent run?
Yeah.
Why are they talking about achievements? And then I realized, oh, it has to do with achievements. And then after that, they had the points thing, and I was like, what do these points mean?
Yeah.
But and adding to Carcinogen is he's a ball of knowledge. He knows everything about Resident Evil games. He's a very good speaker, good commentator. And then the other commentators that were there, it was kind of like there wasn't great, I guess you could say, chemistry.
Yeah.
It was almost like, oh, this brain here talking about everything to do with the game, and then there are these people that are just trying to like be funny and interactive. It was like a big gap, I guess you would say.
There was like a knowledge guy and two hosts. And
Yeah.
the hosts are there
Two
to kind of
opposing
do the job I do. Being the host, kind of move the conversation along, asking the right questions. They had two of those people, so that was kind of too much space there. And they were trying to be funny, and Carcinogen would drop these awesome knowledge things, and then they would like try to make a joke, so it made what Carcinogen just said seem not so serious, which wasn't cool, And it was just it wasn't as smooth as possible. But it was overall Twitch rivals. Huge supporter of Twitch rivals. I hope they keep doing it forever. But yeah, that was not the best one they've ever done, for sure. I think the Celeste one came off much better with Spike and J-Hobbs there in the seats. But okay. Next topic, which is, for me, oh man, this one, try not to get emotional here, but Siglemic is returning to speedrunning. If anyone has watched anything I've done, I have a huge spot in my speedrunning heart for Siglemic and what he's done for speedrunning. He is coming back to pace. Sing the praises, Chase. What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, so he messaged me initially saying, after seeing, I guess, the Global Speedrun Association's Twitter and how they were making the schedule and they had one more day left for submissions. I got a message from Sig saying, I think I would like to submit and join a race. And we had a SM64 race submitted, so we were like, cool, do it, go for it if you want. So he submitted, and then Punke joined in, and we made it a 120-star race, this big 120-star race among four of us, me, D, whatever, Punkation, Siglemic. So it's going to be the race of a century, and yeah. So
what I mean, this is the. Imagine someone doing something for the top of his game, leaving the scene totally. You didn't know where he was. Come back for this pace event. I think made pace go from an 8 in terms of height scale to 15 in terms of hype scale. People are going to watch, and oh my god, it's going to be you shouldn't say anything. I hope he's on top of his game. Obviously, you don't want to see a legend, aging legend. Maybe he can't play as well as he used to. Hopefully, he's on top of his game. But now it's gonna be awesome. I mean, this.
No, the interesting thing to add real quick though is that his PB is a high 143 and 120 star, right?
Yeah.
But in this day and age, the practice codes and the things that are available to practice in Mario 64 now is so much more advanced compared to when he was playing before, that he can realistically, if you put into practice in the past few months, beat his PB in a race. I'm just putting it out there.
Okay.
I'm just putting the idea. But if he performs really well and works really hard, especially with the practice codes that we have now, we could see a PB bot live at the event if he plays well. Just saying.
I'm not even thinking about his performance. Obviously, like, him being there is enough. But if he does awesomely, that'll go. Oh my God, the Twitch is gonna explode there. But finally, before we get
Not
to
to
our
put any pressure on him. But
yeah, true. No pressure. Just being there is enough, man. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
But all right, before we get to our segment with Pity, let's get to our last announcement. And Cheese, you're gonna take care of this last announcement.
Right. So one more big hype thing it was put on the Twitter a few days ago. A new event for GSA. Well, not a GSA event, but a big event that's already established. Smash and Splash. So Smash and Splash is a gigantic, primarily Smash Bros. Event mixed along with a lot of other fighting games, where it's a competitive Smash event with all sorts of other titles like Dragon Ball Fighter Z, Splatoon is there as well, ARMS, Tekken, Street Fighter. It's almost like an Evo, right? And GSA is going to be part. So yeah. GSA is going to have the playoffs of the 16-star Super Mario 64 League and the Mario Kart Double Dash Time Trials League done there live at the event, and also streamed once again at twitch.tv/speedrun.
Yeah, so for someone outside, is this? I mean, I think it's a big question mark for a lot of people, me myself included, because I don't care about Smash Brothers, because I don't know about anything about Smash and Splash. But is it going to be? Right. I mean, is it like a pool in the background, or what's the kind of tie in there? Is it inside? Is it kind of an outside feel? What does it look like?
So it's primarily a water park, and inside there are like huge spaces, ballrooms, thousands and thousands of square feet, and that's where they're gonna have the stages, the chairs, all the setups, and the streams, and GSA is basically gonna have their own space, their own big space with the stage and the chairs and the stream production, everything, similar to Pace at Xanadu, where we're gonna have our own ballroom basically.
Okay, cool. We should pimp out that date. When is the date here? Let me add that here.
Yeah, May 31st to June 2nd.
And next, let's get to our interview with Zfg.
All right, so Zfg, known for so many things in speedrunning, just known for being one of the longest. As you can see, at the bottom there, he's been in part of speedrunning for 10 plus years, since 2007, 2008. And of course, he's the world record holder for 100% in Ocarina of Time. Been doing that category again for years and years and years. I think probably the longest, the speedrunner that has been doing the same category for the longest amount of time in the history of speedrunning, possibly. 6 GDQ appearances. He has it all, and he's been around forever. He's definitely a prominent figure, and really excited to listen to what he has to say today.
Yeah, before we get to him, I want to say he been at GDQs. He's been at 6 GDQs, like it says there, but he was in one awesome run, 2014, of Majora's Mask, which is a different game. But that run is definitely worth checking out. All his runs are worth checking out. But yeah, this is a guy that's been doing it for a long time, and let's get to that interview. You think Ocarina of Time, you think this man. His name is Zfg. How you doing, Zfg?
Hey, I'm doing good.
Now, I'm going to start with the first question here. 100% record holder, obviously. You're hype. You think Ocarina of Time, you think hype, you think Zfg. What keeps you going in this game, right? I mean, you just consistently are playing. You always are playing this game, and now you've been playing it for how many years now? It's crazy. So what keeps you coming back for this game? What keeps you, keep trying to improve the times? What is it about this game that's awesome?
I just think it's so interesting because we find new tricks all the time. There's like so many different categories. The game changes so frequently. We're always finding new stuff, and like a lot of other games, they still change over time, but they don't change by like huge significant amounts. But like OT has like literally changed overnight multiple times, just from like certain tricks being found or like some crazy new route idea. And so it's just so interesting to me, and because one of the big reasons I got into speedrunning in general is just I was really fascinated by glitches in general, and OOT just like keeps giving those, and I just think the game is so interesting with how much you can do with the glitches and how we keep finding stuff.
Is there any reason why you think you chose? Oh, because you look at other Zelda games, and a lot of them are pretty similar in the sense that they have so many exploitable glitches and these route changes and stuff, like Majora's Mask, for example. Is it just that OOT has a special place in your heart, you think, compared to the other Zelda games?
Well, yeah, when I started speedrunning OOT, it was a lot less broken. It was decently broken at the time, but I mainly got into it just because it was my favorite game, and the combination of that and I liked looking up glitches, and I knew Ocarina of Time had glitches, and I thought it was pretty cool. Like other games at the time, Majora's Mask and Twilight Princess, they were like getting some glitches, but OOT was a little bit more on the broken side at that point. But it was just, I think the fact that it was my favorite game probably played a little bit more into it at the time, but also the glitches, yeah.
Here's a question: do you think that Zelda games are more broken than other games, or you think they have so much more attention that people find the glitches more than other games? You know what I mean? Like
I think it's I think it's a little bit of both. Zelda games definitely have a significantly more attention than a lot of other games. But at the same time, Zelda games, I think the way the design sort of lends itself to being able to find glitches easier, I guess, because in like a big adventure game, it's a long game. There's a lot to do in the game. There's a lot of different items with all these different properties and unique stuff you can do with the items. And when there's so much in a game like that, I think it's natural that not everything is going to be absolutely flawless in terms of like like getting rid of bugs or anything like that. And so I think it's a little bit of both. I think Zelda games probably just naturally, because of how much is in them, because of how big of games they are, it probably helps finding glitches in them, but then also they get more attention.
True.
Makes sense. Okay, so we see that you made it to PACE, GSA's first live event, and you'll be doing a 100% better OOT run. So what is better OOT, ZFG? Tell us.
Yeah, so as much as I love Ocarina of Time speedrunning, one of its biggest flaws is that it has a lot of downtime. There's a lot of like slow text and cutscenes, and it kind of sucks. And so what better OOT is it's a mod that just gets rid of the downtime. The text is all made to be very fast text. Cutscenes are pretty much skipped. And instances of like RNG, where RNG will only cost you time, like for example Dampe, is pretty much eliminated. And so better OT, it just has a lot of quality of life changes that just let you play the game without the downtime and just focus on the actual gameplay.
That's cool. And how about in that game? Dampe is a huge thing, right? You could be machine precise playing, and Dampe could say you're not getting the world record today, right? Overall, do you think that's a good thing for a speedrun game or a bad thing, right? Because
it's definitely a bad thing. I know that some people do make the argument that RNG can add some element of interest to a speedrun, and in certain cases I can agree. When it's like RNG types where you have to adapt on the fly, like, and make decisions like that, RNG can be interesting. But in the case of Dampe, it's only do you lose time or do you not lose time, and those types of RNG are not good. That said, I do think Dampe is a bit overblown. Like, he definitely sucks, but it's not as bad as some people make it out to be. And honestly, other than Dampe, OOT doesn't have a huge amount of RNG like that. So it's sort of like just like this one bad RNG thing, where the rest of the game is, for the most part, fine.
Okay.
RNG wise,
that makes sense. I guess another part of it is because it makes that it's always something to be interesting in the runs though too, right? You're for your viewers, you know. I mean, you guys like, oh god, here comes Dampe, you know, kind of a
For the Twitch chat,
yeah.
for
Yeah,
sure.
the Twitch chat definitely gets really excited at that point. It's always the spam always goes to the max at that point.
You got to worry about the viewers, boys. Come on. All right. So how about randomizers? Ocarina of Time has a randomizer. Is that a thing you want to? Is that something you really enjoy? Is that something you think is going to keep growing? What do you think about randomizer in Ocarina of Time?
Yeah, I really like Randomizer. I think it's really fun. There's a lot of people like join the Randomizer races and tournaments and stuff. I prefer to just keep Randomizer as like a fun thing to do on the side every now and then. But I definitely think those like Randomizer tournaments and stuff are really cool too. Yeah, I think it's grown so much, and like I don't think the popularity of it is going down anytime soon. Like Link to the Past Randomizer has been popular for what, probably like 2 years now.
Yeah.
And it's not really slowing down, and OOT just is probably more popular than Link to the Past Randomizer at this point, isn't it?
I think it's the most popular randomizer.
Yeah,
You think
it
so?
feels like it.
That's a huge.
It's close between them at least.
Yeah.
But either way, yeah, it's definitely going to continue being a big thing, and so it's really cool.
So what is your opinion on, adding to your comment on that you prefer not to be part of like the tournament stuff in randomizer? What is your opinion on that? Do you think there is no like longevity or continuity in randomizer tournaments?
I don't think it's a longevity or continuity problem or anything like that. It's just, for me, I just prefer randomizers being more like a for fun thing myself. I definitely understand why other people would like to compete in it, and there is like a lot of strategy and figuring out the best places to check for items, like figuring out like the best risk versus reward plays and stuff like that. And I think it's really interesting, but just not quite for me. I just prefer to, like, when I do randomizer, I often get sidetracked trying to do just like fun, cool stuff that probably is not the right play, but I just like to do it just because I like. There's just so much cool stuff I can do in OOT, and if I think of like this cool thing I can do, even if it might not be a good play, I just want to do it because this is a good chance to do it if I can't do it in a regular speedrun very often.
Yeah. You have a very casual kind of, I think it's fair to say, you have a very casual style, a speedrunning style. But yeah, you do still have the world record, 100% world record. So is that something important to you? I mean, is that something if you lost it, you'd be right after it again? I mean, or do you not care? You kind of confident, just like playing the game?
Well, my goal has always been just beating my own time and pushing the time as far as I can. Not usually I don't like. My goal is not to beat someone else. My goal is always just to push the time as low as I can. So obviously, I wouldn't like. If someone else beat the time, it would just let me know that I have more to improve and I can push the time down further. That's the way I would think about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely cool. Like I'm not, saying, oh, I don't care at all. But yeah, that's the way I think about it.
I think that's a healthy way to think about it. For sure, that's more relaxing. All right, well, going along with the idea of competition, tournaments, kind of stuff, what are your thoughts, personal thoughts, on what GSA has been doing with the competitive speedrunning and pace and stuff like that?
I think it's really cool. I think it's a really good way to grow the community. It seems like a lot of people like it. It kind of reminds me of when Speedruns Live was first getting started back in 2010, 2011 or something. And Speedruns Live was like very heavily based on racing, and that got a lot of people into speedrunning. And like over the years, Speedruns Live kind of, I wouldn't say died off, but like became less popular. And this is kind of like, I guess, getting back that popularity of racing, especially for like Mario and R64, Mario Odyssey in particular, and some other games too. But yeah, I think it's really cool. I think the viewers love that competition aspect. It gets a lot of people motivated to improve and join those tournaments. So yeah, I think it's really cool.
Cool. How about as you are so ingrained in one game, and you are attached to Ocarina of Time whether you like it or not. But is that something that you think is a positive or negative for you? Do you want to try other games at some point, or is Ocarina of Time just providing all the entertainment you need?
I do have interest in other games. Like there are a lot of other games that I say I want to speedrun eventually. Like I've been saying I want to speedrun Metroid Prime or Twilight Princess again. I did speedrun those a long time ago in the past, and I've been saying I would like to go back to them for years now, and I just don't because OOT keeps hogging all my attention.
I share that feeling equally.
Yeah. Yeah, when are you coming back to OT?
I keep saying it, right, for months now. Yeah,
Exactly.
So you're saying,
Yeah,
so hold
but,
on, let me ask both of you guys then. So is the thing that keeps you there, is it your real, true drive to get the times better in your real main game, or are you kind of worried about, hey, what if I jumped here to this other game? What will my viewers say? Will my viewers be cut in half? You know, is that a worry for you? I guess I'll start with you, Cheese. Answer that first.
I mean, me personally, it's more of a like, well, some a little bit has to do with the viewership and stuff, but most of it, at least right now, is because I lost my world record,
That's true.
coincidentally. So I gotta get it back, And when you're trying to get a world record in one of the most competitive speed games in the entire world, it's like, well, I can't focus on anything else because this takes 100% energy and time.
True.
So I'm kind of stuck at the moment.
How about you, ZFG? Do you worry about that side of things?
For me, it's I don't worry too much about like the viewership aspect. Like, it probably would go down, but I'm not too concerned about it. Like, I definitely have a huge amount of interest still in Ocarina of Time, and not only just pushing the time down, because obviously I'm known for running 100% the most, but there's also a lot of other OOT categories I want to do too. And all these other categories I want to do is going to take up a lot of time as well. So. Right. Even when I'm done with 100%, I still have so much left to do with Ocarina of Time that I don't think I'll be done with it anytime soon. I would like to get to other games eventually, but I don't know. I still have so much left to do in Ocarina of Time that might not happen anytime soon.
Okay, so
go ahead. Yeah,
go ahead.
I want to know. Your stream is very old school, I would say. You're not. There's no face cam. It's the game, and I'm playing the game, and here it is. Is there anything about? Is that just what you like to do? Is there kind of a deeper plan behind that? That's what you like to show to your viewers, or what's your thinking behind that? Having this old school style stream.
Yeah, that's pretty much just how I like to do it. I just like to have the focus on the game. Pretty much just that. Just the game, the splits, the speedrun. That's my main focus.
Okay.
Because like I never, I guess, tried to be a big streamer or something. I just like doing speedruns, and then other people liked watching those speedruns. And so why change what got me here, I guess.
Good thinking.
All right, so back to the GSA competitive field tournament. Have you ever thought personally that you would like to try your hands in these tournament-like events in speedrunning? Would you like to try out a game that has that competitive feel towards it to be able to be part of these tournaments and stuff?
Maybe I did mention earlier how like my mindset with speedrunning is not necessarily to beat other people, but more like to just push the time down myself. And with that mindset, I think I'm more inclined to do just like regular attempts and not necessarily races. And in addition to that, Ocarina of Time is honestly not a great racing game. A lot of categories in Ocarina of Time kind of suck for racing because there's many places where you are 1 frame late on a trick and you lose 10 minutes and that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
it is difficult.
Yeah. But again, like I really like the idea. I like that it's growing. I like that other people like it, but it's probably not quite for me.
Yeah. ZFG. People obviously go follow ZFG if you're not following him. I don't know how you're here if you're not following ZFG. He's the man. Good luck in all your speedrunning events. Good luck at Pace for sure. I mean, that's a big stage there. I'm sure you're gonna kill it. But Ocarina of Time, ZFG's the man. Thanks for your time.
That's a miss! And Punkay is also in throws. Now it's coming down to the two legends in a battle against Bowser. Cheese needs 2 throws. Punkay needs 3.
No, Cheese missed another throw!
He's gonna throw right off the edge. Punkay can have the win here if he can hold it together.
Punkay missed the throw!
Who's gonna miss though? Cheese has that opportunity to dodge these rings of like stat of shockwaves.
Cheese
And
hits a
that's
second
within the land. And down to the last one. Cheese can
Punkay
win.
misses the
He's
grab.
doing it.
Cheese takes it.
Punkation. The first defeat for Punkay in the league. And it's at the hands of the one and only Cheese.
This might come down to Flag 1. This might come down to Flag 1 movement. And I know Flat has crazy Flag 1 movement. He could snipe this away from Chai in the closing seconds of the race. Oh boy. All right. Chai first to get the Flag 1. Oh no! no! Oh my god! Oh no! No! Oh, wait a minute! Wait! Oh my god! Oh! Oh my god! Oh my god! Another.
Bro. Only one more, and see. That doesn't look too good. That's a miss.
Oh,
and now
that's a
Ghana
miss.
back.
Oh, if Ghana hits, Ghana.
And
Oh,
Ghana actually.
he gets it.
That's
And
the
Benji get-
first win for him.
But very, very close. Oh man.
I could
Ghana-
have said, oh man, for sure, dude.
Ghana having some good nerves.
Oh, but Ghana missing the stuff. That is so close. Oh my god.
What?
Yo, what the heck?
I have never seen anyone jumping by the star. I can't believe this.
Okay, so there you go. The highlight package we have for you guys. And that race, I remember watching that live. That was insanity. That Benji and Ghana. I mean, from Bowser 2, they were more or less, tied. Going in all the way to the end of Bowser 3 after BLJs, which anything could happen in BLJs. Having such a close ending, that was, I mean, it's happened so much times now. You're like, is anyone really surprised? But anyway, we're, I mean, amazing stuff. And we have another, great interview for you guys. We have Coolmatty.
Yes, we do.
Uh,
Yes. Coolmatty's in the
yeah.
house. And he's, some people I think don't understand how much he does, right? He is the director of
Right.
operations for Games Done Quick. So he's the guy that kind of does everything that's not on the stream, right? Everything that's not during the event, he does it. And we talk about in the interview a little bit here, you're going to hear. He is a really diligent in answering questions he gets online. And I think that should not go discounted when it's not a popular job he has. He has to do a lot of things that people don't want to do, as in making decisions, who can get in, this kind of stuff. But he does it well, and he answers every question people have, and I think that's really admirable. So, yeah, listen for that, and let's enjoy the interview with Coolmatty.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go!
All right, guys, very special guest. His name is Coolmatty, and he's doing a very important job in the speedrunning community. And I guess there could be some people that don't know exactly what that is, right? So you are director of operations at GDQ. Coolmatty, though, could you tell us what do you do there?
Pretty much everything before the event. So, got to make sure that obviously the staff knows what they're doing. There's so many different things going on at the same time nowadays. With the volunteer coordination alone is just a massive job with, so many people involved. So trying to make sure that everybody's got what they need and managing all of that, but then also looking into the future. So I'm usually planning events, multiple years out at this point. So that's generally what I do from day to day. And then, of course, as we get closer to events, it kind of gets more dedicated towards each individual event.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Okay, so last GDQ, AGDQ 2019, big hit as usual. What are your overall thoughts of how that last GDQ went?
I thought it went fantastic. Everyone really seemed to like it. We had a really awesome time, especially the end of the event. That was really awesome to watch. It's always fun to see when that happens. So I was really excited. Everything seemed to work out well. The new hotel wasn't too bad either, even though that was just a transition hotel that actually was a lot better than I even expected. So I was happy that it worked out, and it was a really fun time.
I guess
Definitely agree that hotel definitely, I think it was my favorite, actually. Apart from SGDQ 2018, which I'm so glad that we're having the same hotel for this SGDQ coming up. That was a great hotel. I think everything was, the event was a little bit disconnected, but it wasn't even an issue because everything was laid out really nicely, I think.
Mm-hmm. I guess about that, I'm sure hotel is part of that, but how do you evaluate success of a GDQ, right? I mean, now, you're going to get, this X amount of viewers, you're going to get X amount of money, basically. I mean, is it just about how much donations you get, or what? How do you rate, well, this one was better than this one, or this one was better than that one now in 2019?
I mean, another thing that's been growing still, obviously, is the attendance numbers, right? So we've been slowly controlling that growth to ensure that we don't, overcommit or ruin the feel of the event by just having too many people there. But that has been steadily growing each event as well. We're still selling out every year. So I think that's a good sign showing that there's still interest and people really, they don't just want to, donate. They want to get engaged. They want to join in and see what it all the fuss is about. So I think that's been a great indicator of success. Obviously keeping up the donations is the most important factor. That's what we're there for. But that is also a great factor.
Awesome. Okay, so you're extremely active on social media. Well, based around GDQ events, answering questions, etc. Why do you think it's important, and if so, why do you think it's important?
I mean, it obviously depends for every company, but I think for us as a fundraiser for charity, I think it's something that we can do, and I think it's been really successful response to a lot of that over the years. And I think it's something that's important for people who are donating online to know that the cause that they're donating towards and the people they're helping out with and all of that is someone they can trust. So we try to do as much as we can to, be transparent about where the money goes, how the money's spent, where, how is the charity using that money even, and being really forthcoming with all of that, even despite the fact that we're not really a nonprofit. So it's been kind of an important factor for me, at least personally, to make sure that people know what's going on all the time.
Yeah, and I want to say, I think you're talking it down a little too much there, because you answer questions that sometimes, I mean, there's a lot of brain dead questions out there that you get, and you still answer, dutifully, and I think it's really admirable because, you don't have to do that. You know what I mean? I think that's fair. I want to say that here because some people ask questions that are so the smallest thing, right? Oh,
or make comments.
Yeah. Like, oh, you bought this cord. That's $100 cord, but you could have bought that for $20. Why'd you do that? And then Coolmatty here, I've seen him on Reddit. You put the hours in on Reddit, really. I think that's really admirable. So I one more time though, I want to make sure I asked it. You could so easily not do anything, right? And I think if you did that, you kind of. It would be easy, right? And then it'd be so easy for you just to go out and no one know you. But now that you do that, people asking online, especially on Reddit. If you answer any questions like, "Oh my God, that's the wrong answer," Coolmatty, so he hates GDQ, he hates fun. So why do you fight through that so hard? I guess I want to know. What do you think about that? Your reaction you get from your answers,
I mean, some of them aren't always, with they're not putting their best foot forward when they're asking those questions, right? They have ulterior motives, but. There's other people who are going to be reading those comments who aren't, right? Mm-hmm. So there's people who are going to be genuinely interested. Why are you spending $100 on this quarter or something like that? And the answer is usually because it's like, well, if you either buy that or you buy it's for the same thing, right? So it's like, at the end of the day, you're buying quality. Usually that's a lot of what that comes down to. But and money's usually the biggest one because it's a fundraiser and it's a charity event. And I think that's fair questions for most of the time. And I think a lot of that is fair game. So as much as I can, I try to be transparent about that. And I think people really respect that. And, I'm always welcome to answer those kinds of questions. And I'll even follow back up with the charity on things like that. Like another big question that came out like during HDQ is always like, well, how much does that go to the international? I was like, well, let me go follow up with that. And I would go and say, well, last year they spent, I'm not going to quote it because I don't remember offhand what the number was, but it was, X hundreds of thousands of dollars went to international specific projects last year. And I think that's really useful information that people want to know. And it's not something they can easily find. So I want to make sure that that's out there. Mm-hmm. And of course, the speedrunning community is a very social community online. So it only makes sense to really communicate with them there as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Your turn, Alt.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we're pre-recording this. It's weird now. Okay. So another question that I have you here. I really want to thank you for your time because I know you don't really do these interviews a lot. So I want to make sure we say that. It's awesome if you did this. So what do you think of GDQ's place in speedrunning, right? I mean, now it is, whether it wants to be or not, for a lot of people, GDQ is speedrunning, right? As you can tell by the numbers, right? The numbers are as big as they ever get in speedrunning anything is when GDQ is doing something. So what do you think about its place in speedrunning now? I mean, is that something you want to be? This kind of thing this is the Super Bowl of speedrunning. It's right here. It's two events a year. What do you think about its place in speedrunning?
So I'm always careful to go and cover this in a specific angle, and that's like we're not the only speedrunning event out there, and there's a lot of other great events going on as well. And I don't want to feel like we're trying to stomp on any of them, and I want to make sure people are aware that it's not just games done quick, twice a year. There's other things going on. But the reason I kind of bring that up is that a big way to grow games done quick is to grow the speedrunning community itself. And so that's where we have a lot of our other initiatives like the Hot Fix and the Sprint on that show, and various other things where we try to help out the community. And we're even pursuing other avenues even now for the things that we could do to help out the community. We just recently sponsored the OBS project, which is the streaming software that most streamers, I would imagine, who are speedrunning are using that software. Just because we want to make sure that is invested in those programmers can really improve the product for everyone. And I think all these things are giving back to the speedrunning community that's supported us all this time. And I think that's really important. And to also get it out to the general public as much as possible, because the speedrunning community is definitely tight knit. But there's a lot of people who are interested, who maybe saw a weird Mario speedrun, 10 years ago, back when YouTube was just starting or something. And they're like, oh man, I don't understand how this works. I don't know how you do any of this. And it's like, well, here's how you get into speedrunning. Here's how you can do it. You don't have to be the best in the world to start off. You can do it with anything you've got. Even your modern consoles or whatever can do it for you. And, get into the speedrunning, get interested. And by growing the community, that also grows Games Done Quick and helps everyone involved.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Okay, so let's talk about the actual event, the stream room, the main event, the main attraction of the event. The stream room has, it's been, there's so much evolution in that aspect, from the beginning, being in a basement, to being in a huge ballroom with 1,000 chairs, what do you think of that evolution and its effect on the feel of the events?
Yeah, so it's been a growing experience. Obviously, when I was in the basement, that was a very unique experience there. There was only a one-shot experience there, and I think those guys don't want to repeat that immediately. Cram many people down there. But when it was a small room, obviously you had that more tight-knit feel, and you get the the immediate crowd response, for good or for bad, depending on how the run was going. And to a degree, you kind of lose that as you get bigger, but we compensate with that as much as possible. We kept the couch, we keep the commentators, it's not just about the runner. And then the audience has gotten more and more involved, I think, as people kind of felt more comfortable, like what makes sense in terms of the audience sort of feel. I think for a couple of years there, it was, people didn't really know how to react to, like, oh, suddenly now there's 300, 400 chairs. You can't just be doing whatever you want in the back there. You gotta be more, like as an audience person, as opposed to someone's, being their pal right up on the couch. So that's been kind of a learning experience, I think, for everyone involved, not just for the staff, but also just for the attendants. So that's, I think, been figured out. We had a lot more audience interaction this year, I think, as people realize, okay, yeah, we can shout out, we can have fun, despite what some people may say. We can have fun, and, have a good time with it and everything. And I think that's really been cool to see that kind of grow back after being quiet for a couple of years.
Yeah. You said the magic word of having people having fun and letting loose, and I think it's commonly said that the people's perception of these rules are much stricter than the actual rules. Do you think that's true? The people think are kind of like, I'm scared of getting banned. Oh, this ban word's gonna happen if I go any step out of line, even though there's not these insanely strict rules that people think there is, right? Do you think anything truth to that?
I think I could step in here
okay.
and as an attendee for years now, pretty much every GDQ for years now. Definitely, I think it's overlooked. I mean, not over. Yeah, in the sense that it's not as bad as people think, or people online say, "Oh, look, I'm afraid to even go in the stream." Of course not. No, it's not like that. When you're at the event, you feel 100% fine. You feel free. Once you're doing nothing. You're not doing anything that is obviously not a good idea. You're 100% fine, and people know what they shouldn't do. So,
right. So I think a lot of it is like, a lot of these bans are because, like, people literally breaking laws or something stupid. It's like, we're gonna have to do something about that, So obviously that happens. But be perfectly honest about it, our ban list is like a max of like 20 people, I think, total over the entire course of GDQ history. So that's when you have 2,000 people per event coming in with like I think over 20,000 people registered in our database. That's not a lot of people.
Right.
And I think I don't have stats to back this up, but I feel like even compared to other events, it's not a lot of people. So I think people, it kind of gets overblown on the internet. You get the more high profile bans out there, and then people kind of get upset about that. And I understand that there's reason to be upset about that as well. But other than that, it's if you go to an event, nobody's worried about being banned. Nobody's talking about it. They're all there having fun, and playing speed running on the entire time. That's the effort, and they're there for a good cause. And that's I think that's our ban list is more. I mean, our rules are for just to cover the bases and respect when they get there, not to be like we're looking to ban people, because that's counterproductive anyway, right? Banning somebody doesn't help. It doesn't help us at all. So it's something that I would much rather not ban somebody than ban them. So.
Right.
I guess real quick, I want to jump back. Editor can do some magic here about the stream room thing. Has there any? I think it's fair to say though too, with the bigger rooms, it has become less intimate experience. And whether that's a good or bad thing depends on the person, right? But have you ever thought that keeping the couch, I think, is a huge part of the identity of GDQ, no question about that. It still has that roots in the basement, and here's the couch, right? It has to be there. Has there been any thought to kind of making it seem like a smaller room for some parts of the event? Because, that the one thing that is negative, I think, and you would agree, is when you see those 50, 100 empty seats behind there, that kind of is a diminisher of hype, right? So is there any thought to maybe making it seem like the room is smaller for some parts of the marathon or not, or anything like that?
Oh, we kind of do something like that already, where we might like make the camera shot tighter or something like that. But you get prime time, and then you have dead time, right? When it's 3 a.m., everyone's finally collapsing. There's only so much you could do at that point, and there's only so much you can do in terms of stage rejiggering it anyway, because you're not gonna like completely redo the stage every night. You're not gonna like just go out there and take away 500 chairs or something like that.
True.
So there's only so much you can do about those situations, but I think it's important to just like, we're not trying to hide the fact that it's 4 a.m. and up at 4 a.m. unless they really want to watch that run. So I think it's okay. I think people kind of come to understand that that's the reality of a 24-hour event. You're not going to see that at an Evo. Because they close down overnight and they show up the next morning.
True.
That's what I was gonna say too. Yeah. Just imagine it's a week-long event, 24 hours, 7 days. You can't avoid, certain times during the event where it's gonna be empty, or it's gonna be like you said, dead time. It's 24 hours, 7 days. It's gonna be dead time. So, for sure.
Yeah, we'll try to like. As best as we can. There's not a lot we can do in some situations, but like we'll try to rejigger the schedule to be like we'll have more European stuff on at a more European appropriate time, or and maybe some Japanese stuff be really late because that'll be during the day for them or something like that. To a degree, as much as we can. But otherwise, we have to kind of play around, runner availability and the general schedule. Like we're not going to put a really popular run in the middle of 4 a.m. block where nobody's gonna, donate towards it or something like that. But otherwise, I think we do as much as we can right now. We're always interested to see what else we can come up with and what the community might have suggestions for. But other than just physically getting more people in seats, I don't see any other way to handle it right now. And I think it's not a huge detractor anyway, right? You kind of like, oh, okay, there's only 100 people out in the audience instead of 1,000 people, but it's also still those 100 people are really excited for that run. They're there because they want to see that run, right? They're not just chilling. So those people sometimes like the awful block, those will be the really exciting runs sometimes. So you can't dismiss those people who are out there.
Ironically, yeah.
You go, Cheese.
All right, so I think you think that, or I know you think all runs are more or less great, but what is your favorite run or few runs of all time?
Sonic Spinball. No,
Good
but
answer.
really, I've had a few favorites, and they come and go. Mirror's Edge has always been close to my heart. I always love watching that run, both the old and the new one. But the task block I've always enjoyed. I used to be involved with the Jedi Knight community, so I like watching that run. So those are kind of my personal favorites. But otherwise, there's a ton of fantastic runs I love to watch. So, a lot of times during the event, people don't notice, but actually, except for putting out fires, my vacation time is during the event.
wow,
My
okay.
work time is everything after and before. So I kind of sit back and try to watch the runs as much as I can and just kind of make sure the show continues trudging on. I kind of watch as much as I can.
That's cool. How about what do you think is like the competition? I know you talked about earlier you want to help the community. Do you think like these things like there used to be GDQ was the only game in town in terms of high quality marathoning events, right? But now, I mean, ESA is coming up, and that's a real high quality event there too. Do you guys like worry about competition at all? Do you see it as competition, or do you see it as like kind of a team thing? Anything for speedrunning is good. What do you think about like your major competitors, even though there is only a few?
Well, I think there's plenty of room for everybody, really. And like I even said earlier, these communities are only helping everyone at this point by trying to get more eyes on speedrunning, getting more people involved. ESA is doing a great thing by, covering the entire European region, basically, especially for those who can't make it out to a GDQ because it's so expensive for flights and such. So, they're doing a great thing there. And there's other events as well. There's like an Australian one I know that's happening. And then there's, some in Canada. And then you got, the more specific event types like RPG Limit Break and again, then Calathon covering the California side. So, there's room for all those events, obviously. I don't really feel like we have to worry about competition for anybody at this point. I think there's plenty of room for everyone to be to grow and to evolve at this point. And we're a charity fundraiser, right? We're not looking to be the next Apple or Microsoft or something like that. So it's fine with me on how everything's been going so far, and I don't see that changing for a long time. I think it's all for the better good for speedrunning.
Cool.
Awesome. Well, I think that pretty much covers it.
Let me ask one more. Let me ask one more before we let him go. How about the one about?
Okay.
I'll do the one about. Okay, so how about? It's obviously when you think about GDQ, you think about it's a charity event. It's for charity, raising money for charity. So as you've noticed, competitive things in speedrunning have become more popular over the last 2 years in an extreme way, right? GSA podcast right now, this GSA show right now is an example of that. So is there any way you think that GDQ could do something on the competitive side of things? Would it have to be tied to charity, or is there any way that could happen, you think, in the future, where there's like a big tournament or something at GDQ, anything like that possible in the future?
I think we would try to do something with charity aspect, but I'm open to a lot of different ideas, and we're exploring all different kinds of stuff. Obviously, I think the kind of competitive tournament side is really being explored right now. It's not really defined well. People are trying to figure out how that should look. You got Twitch Rivals and you got GSA, but I think we could do like something like with a charity aspect. I think would actually work fine. I'm open to anything. I think there's more stuff the better for speedrunning, right? So especially because for speedrunners, it's not really a paying job, right? It's just a hobby for a lot of people. Unless you're really a Twitch partner on the high level and you're doing variety streaming on top of your speedrunning community stuff, you're generally not making a living off of it. So I think trying to get money into speedrunning is not the worst thing in the world. But it's kind of wait and see in terms of how the community will take it overall.
Yeah.
Okay, Cheese, you can close this out now.
Yeah, well, that pretty much just closes it off. Thank you so much, Coolmatty, for being with us today and taking the time. And I myself learned a few things that I'm glad to know now. And I'm looking forward to more GDQ events.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay. You go. All right, guys. It's time for ALT's Crazy Idea, where I pitch an idea that I have. Every day I'm trying to think of new ideas for speedrunning, and I pitch one of my most favorite ones to Cheese, and he tells me what he thinks, if it's a good idea, bad idea, whatever. And this week, my idea is single instance Mario 64. Now, what does that mean, right? What does that mean, you might be saying out there? This is what it means, my friends. Cheese boots up his game, and let's say D whatever's there, he boots up his game. Now, somehow, through the magic of internet and people having skills with computing, you guys are in the same world. So, think about what that would open up, right? So, you both are going towards the camera skip, you know the Lucky 2 skip in the beginning. And you might be able to punch him, right? Okay, you're not getting that. See ya. I'm going there. Then you get to the first stage. Now you have a lot of choices to make. Are you going to go to the first star? You think you can beat him to that first star? Or do you say, well, I'll just knock away the bomb guy so he can't do that first skip, and then I'll go to the next star, right? So many options would open up for competitiveness that I think would be really incredible. I'm not even sure if it's possible. It seems like people can do a lot of crazy stuff. Randomizer is doing crazy stuff. Yeah. People are doing cool stuff. So what do you think about this idea? It's something like, let's say it kind of is possible. What do you think about this? What could it do?
Well, first things first, there is actually a ROM. There's an online SM64 ROM.
Okay.
Where people could join in a server and play together in the same instance.
Okay. So
in the same game. So now it's an emulator, though.
Oh, okay.
Now the question is it possible to get on console, and can we implement that kind of thing into a tournament-like situation? Is that what you're trying to get to?
Yes, I want it to be like it's a competitive thing. You could have maybe 4 players, right? And in that online thing though, can you interact with people? Is there interaction between players?
You can. You can punch people. You can knock them down.
Oh my god! Why are we doing this already? Then it's already a good thing. My idea is old.
Well, the difficult thing is on emulator, right?
Yeah.
Now the question is, can it? Is it? No, I never know, fully how these things work exactly. But can it be turned into a ROM? Can it be put into an EverDrive and be done on N64? I'm not sure. But not only that, but having that and implementing to a tournament situation, I think that sounds amazing.
Yeah, dude.
I think especially even if it's like some sort of like one-off event, where we decide, let's just do this for once and see how it goes, and for fun, and put a big potential prize pool towards it or something, or incentive. Yeah, I would love to see that happen.
There you go, guys. It sounds like it's not that crazy this week, actually.
Yeah, it's almost like you have the speedrunning aspect, and you have like almost like a fighting game aspect. You have different types of style games coming into this one speedrunning experience. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool. The strategy that it would open up would be really interesting. I think, like, do you go to that star? Okay, well, I see Cheese already started to go for that star, so I won't get it. Now that might require a little more encode.
A lot more.
Yeah, because like you can't okay, Cheese took that star. Now does that mean that star I can't get that star anymore? That kind of thing we got to think about. But that's all the details. Smart people out there, go make it happen, and we could have this single instance ALTs. Single instance Mario tournament started soon. Okay, that was ALT's Crazy Idea. And let's get to our next segment, a segment we like to call This or That, where I ask a question to Cheese, Cheese asks me questions, and you have to choose one side. You cannot choose both. Choose both's out of it. Cheese did that in week 1. We're not going to let that happen anymore. So, this or that. My first one, this can be about anything in speedrunning world, by the way. It doesn't have to be competitive speedrunning, anything you want. Right. My first question is definitely a beast of that nature. So, this is a tough one, Cheese, but I'm going to ask you, who has matured and changed more as a speedrunner? In person, kind of. Caleb Hart or Trihex? Who has evolved and changed more over the years? And they both are very different people than when they started. So, who has changed more in your mind?
Who has changed more? Okay. Wow. I mean, the first thing that comes to my head is that, well, Trihex has changed a lot in the sense of he was solely a speedrunner. He was like speedrun, grind every day. That's what he's known for. And now you don't see him speedrunning that much at all these days, right? Yep. You see him doing a lot of IRL streams.
Super money maker.
Yeah, but a lot of streams he just reviewing stuff and him talking, and it seems to be really popular. Caleb still does what he does, what he's always been doing, speedrunning, hardcore speedrunning every day, all day, 24-hour streams of once a week almost. And not only that, so he used to be speedrunning in games like actually Mario 64 in the beginning and Mega Man for most of the time. But now you look at him, he's doing the same thing and even more. He's running Final Fantasy games. He has world records in Final Fantasy games, Mega Man games. He did some Mario 64 sometime last year. He did Earthbound. He's doing all these games now. So in terms of changing, yeah, I would have to say Tri-X. I have to say Tri-X.
Okay, I think you left out the thing though. But Caleb's personality has changed a lot. If you go on YouTube, it's not hard to see Caleb rage, right?
It's true.
Caleb rage is kind of not a thing anymore, right?
Yeah, personality-wise, for sure, Caleb has, I guess you could say, evolved for the better, potentially. Tri-Hex personality, I don't think it really has changed.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say I noticed anything different in him. He's just Tri-Hex, quirky, likes to talk, a lot of nonsense, if you may, but carry conversation really well and have a lot of fun. Same old Tri-X.
Yeah, true. Okay, there you go, guys. So his choice was Tri-Hex. Cheese, your turn for ask me one.
All right, so my idea for you, ALT, a little bit interesting. Well, very interesting for me, at least. Blindfolded speedrunning. Tournaments of blindfolded speedrunning. Yay or nay?
Blindfolded speedruns, most famously done by Sinister1 for sure, though he was not the originator of the blindfold speedrun. Personally, I don't think they're that interesting. After you see me once, you kind of are done for me. Okay, I've seen Punch Out be done now, so I don't need to see it again. I've seen someone do Super Mario Brothers. I kind of don't need to see that anymore. I saw someone do. I mean, people do crazy shit games. People do crazy games. That's for sure. Let's make sure that's said.
Yeah.
But once I see it once, I'm kind of done. I don't need to see it again. So for me, it's not really a thing I would want to see over the long term. But so I would say nay on that one for sure. How about you? You can answer your question though. It seems like you kind of might be more into it.
I mean, so there's this guy named Katoon, right? Katoon24. He's kind of like the pioneer of the recent blindfolded speedrunning happenings. He's owner of this blindfolded speedrunning Discord, and he approached me about blindfolded Mario speedrunning because he actually was the first person to ever complete a 70-star run, single segment, all 70 stars in one run, blindfolded. And that was, I think, around mid last year. And during the stream, he got up to 1,000 viewers when he finished the run. And he's a streamer that normally gets 20 to 30 viewers. Like, it was insane, hype. So after seeing that, it was like, wow. And then I dived into that community and saw how big it actually is, how much work they put in. And then you see the other people, Sinister1, and then I started popping in other streams, all sorts of blindfolded streams. And I realized that this is a thing that people are doing in speedrunning. So, it was that question. Potential tournament-like events in blindfolded, or too hard to kind of like one time and that's enough kind of thing. So
yeah, it's an idea. It's an idea. Okay, let's get to my next one here. What do you think has a better chance of happening? Right, Siglemic doing this tournament, doing pace, finishing however he finishes, and sailing off into the sunset, or he comes to pace, does however he does, and then uses it to kickstart his Twitch comeback. What do you think is more likely to happen? Which one, this or that?
More likely to happen?
Yes.
So knowing Siglemic's history, I mean, the first one is, I think would be 99% of people's answer. But you can't know for sure, right? Yeah. Because he showed all this interest suddenly, so quickly as well. You never know what's gonna happen. He might enjoy the race so much in the live event. He's like, oh my god, I want to get back home and start streaming again. I got so much motivation. Like, I love doing this again. Or it could just be like, that was fun, but again,
Later.
It's just not. It's not for me anymore, and I'm happy doing what I'm doing now. And thanks for the opportunity. Maybe I'll just go to the next event. I would have to go personally with the first one. I mean, of course, I would love for him to come back. Everyone would, right? But knowing his history and just knowing him as a person, it'd be much easier to say that he probably won't come back full time. But I would say that it could be likely to see him in Pace 2.
Yeah, okay. So he's a big events
for
only.
example,
He comes out for the big events only. Yeah, okay.
Possibly,
Okay, that makes sense. Hopefully he does choose to continue, but yeah, it's you never know with him. So all right, take us home. Last one, this or that. Cheese, go.
Okay, so one last one on LT.
Sure.
Pretty simple question. YouTube versus Twitch. So you see a lot of streamers. I'm guilty as well. A lot of speedrun streamers started doing a lot of. They started diving to the YouTube scene. They do a lot of YouTube highlights, but they have their Twitch live stream.
Yep.
On a personal level, for you, and also your thoughts in general, what do you think is more exciting to watch? The YouTube highlight after the stream is done, or do you want to be there to watch the stream live?
Well, I think really, I mean, obviously, I want to be there live for me. It's no question. Live is better for sure. However,
Okay.
the thing about YouTube is you can see it now. It's coming off more popular than ever now. These highlight packages, right? I mean, people are doing it all over the place, and it is smart because it is a way to, assuming you get enough views, it's another income stream, which is something obviously speedrunning needs more of. So it's definitely, I'm glad it exists and more people could find it for sure. So YouTube is just another way to get another window into speedrunning, it seems. But obviously, live is what you want to be. But as that said, as I've gotten older and more responsibilities and kids and stuff, I can't just sit on Twitch like I used to, 10 hours a day watching Twitch.
Right.
So YouTube is an important part of the speedrunning to follow things as well. So it's important. But what about you? What's your kind of feel on that?
Well, at least from responses that I've seen, most people tend to prefer to watch the highlights. I guess it's they want to see all the good parts smashed up into 5 to 10 minutes. People tend to prefer to want to watch that over the 6-hour live stream, for example. And like you pointed out, some people don't have time. But yeah, I think I think they're both great because you get to watch. If somebody's going for world record and you're there live, you want to watch it live. You can do that. But if you don't watch it, you could still watch the YouTube video and you could catch. You'll still be able to watch it in a nice, concise form.
Is there any worry though that you could? I mean, I don't know if it's just seen over the numbers, but it could make a hit to your viewership, right? If you make these awesome highlight videos every day or whatever, right?
That's a good way to think about it. I never really thought about it like that. Never thought about it. That's pretty interesting. But possibly. But at the same time, you would think that the more YouTube highlight videos you make and the more views you get, the more subscribers you get, the more of them would want to pop into your live stream too.
You'd think, yeah.
So it could help. So we might never know. Time will tell. I think where the more videos that these streamers upload, the results will speak for itself.
There you go, guys. All right, that was this or that, and let's get to the big finish here. Shout outs here. For my shout out, I want to make sure I shout out the two guests, Zfg, Coolmatty, and people that help make the show happen. Obviously, we got Limcube, we got Pity, we got D whatever, make with the highlights. We got Steve O'Broil with the GSA creation. But yeah, this show is not made just by us two. It's made by a lot of people, so I want to thank them.
Oh, yeah.
Cheese, your shout outs, go ahead.
I mean, same shout outs, honestly. You stole it from me.
I said shout-outs.
Also shout outs to Milo, of course, being the other GSA brain. We wouldn't have these streams without him. So, yeah. And shout outs to Smash and Splash for getting involved in speedrunning as well. So GSA is going to be part of that. And also shout outs to VG Bootcamp real quick, too, for helping out in Pace as well.
There you go, guys. We will see you in 2 weeks. We are a bi-weekly show, so we'll see you in 2 weeks. And yeah, you know what to do. Stay hype.
See ya.